We were born ready. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another roundtable discussion. Today, we're going to be speaking about what is the higher self, the divine being of light that makes us who we are. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this conversation today. I'm Victoria Amador, and we have Melvis and Natalie.
Hi, Natalie from N5 Tribe Life Coaching.
I'm Melvis from the 4 Elements Healing.
Awesome. So let's start with a quick overview of how do we define what is our higher self, our being of light, our spirit, our soul, from your perspective.
So, the thing is, we have, as a society, I feel like have become so disconnected, and we feel like we're on this island. It's just like us, and there is we've lost a lot of that connection to source and to our higher selves. And so to me, the higher self, it's an extension of yourself. It's part of you. It's part of source, the ultimate higher power. And it's an energy that links us to everything and to everyone. So it's something that allows us to have access with this universal knowledge, this universal energy, this universal love that is there for us to get information from, for us to feel connected to, for us to remember that we are not an island. We are not separate.
That was perfect. Can I say what she said? No, that was actually really yummy. And Melvis, I want to add, right, it's this essence, it's our essence, it's our soul, but that goes beyond the ego and the self, which is what you said, right? But getting outside, it's breaking the limitations of what our ego tells us. It's way beyond that for me. When I think of my higher self, I am consciously connected to everything and nothing and all at the same time. And it's this yummy feeling. I just know, I feel, I am, and I feel very complete, and I feel very connected to what you were saying, Melvis, right? That we feel like we're solo on an island, but we're not. We're all these amazing, beautiful souls having our own journeys, but in the same playground, right? Playground meaning however you want to take that, but
yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, the way that I see the higher self or our being of light is that golden egg that is remembering and feeling everything all at the same time, no matter what experience it may be, and it's just waiting to be embraced in order for it to be one with us. So it's almost like the more that we awaken, the more that we grow, the more that we can become one with it. So that it's not outside of me, but very deep within my inner being. And because it's so, it's almost like having different, we know we are physical. We know that we have many different light bodies. We have the pranic body, we have the auric body, we have so many higher bodies. And within that, inside of it, there is this being of light that makes us who we are. And when we become more connected to who we really are, then it can grow and expand and be the one that is really in control of everything that we do here. So life becomes completely different, and it becomes a magical experience where we actually like being here, and we feel so connected to everything and everyone because we can feel that strong connection with ourselves. That will be my definition.
What you said made me think of something. It's so simple for us to realize okay, I mean, I don't have a six-pack, but I could, right? You're yeah, I have muscles. Yes, I could define my muscles if I made that effort. And we accept that readily. But we also have access to this higher self, to this universal energy, and that feels so like not real. But it's like along the same line, it's something that we just need to strengthen and develop.
Right. Right. And I think one of the reasons why I wanted to have a conversation about what is the higher self and where does it reside is because a lot of people, depending on the different healing modalities that we use, we say, and now I'm going to welcome the higher self to take over. And then when we're done, and now I'm going to ask you to recede to where it belongs. But
where is it going?
I just find that interesting. So when you want to connect with your true essence, what is it that you do to allow that part of you to be the one in charge?
That is a fantastic question. And I loved, you mentioned earlier the magical experience, right? With it, when we are connected in tune with allowing our higher self to be present, we do have a magical experience here on earth. And why, to Melvis's point, do we think that it's so hard and not a part of us? And yeah, I can have these abs, but I got to work on it. But we can also work on our higher selves. But for me, I think to answer your current question, Victoria, connecting to my higher self consists of a lot of meditation, and not just like my 5-minute like grounding, I just need to breathe meditation, like my long meditation where I am in complete stillness physically so that I can feel what's going on energetically, spiritually. Like I open up my crown chakra, I connect source, like it's this beautiful, it's a lot of visualization. I realize a lot of what I do for me personally, and I aim to teach my clients, but it's a lot of visualization. So I visualize a lot of things, and then over time, it's like it's a feeling that I get. But I know when I'm connected to my higher self, when I'm in a space of surrender. When I'm like, no, I trust that project that I sent out is going to work well, or that offer that I made, it's going to come back. Like when I'm just releasing and doing and being and not really focused on like, well, I need this to happen like this. And I also need this to look just like this. When I surrender control of that, I know that I'm in more connection with my higher self because I'm trusting in her, in me, I'm trusting in source, I'm trusting in God. And it's not an easy thing to always do. Life happens, but when you do, I feel it.
Yeah, I don't want to oversimplify it because it does, obviously, just like working a physical muscle does take effort and repetition of the bringing these out, bringing out your connection to your higher self, bringing out your muscles. But honestly, it's not simple, but yet it is, because we don't pause and reflect. Our minds are constantly going, and of course, that's where meditation comes in, as far as allowing you to silence the mind. But there's little things you can do throughout the day, just as simple as when you're faced with like, you're not sure what is in your, what your higher self would want you to do, just you pause, ask, just start making those little tiny steps at the beginning where you're kind of creating a relationship, or creating that go-to step of asking, of just acknowledging that there is energy and knowledge out there for you to access if you choose to.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you both mention the different ways, in one way or another, that you tap with your higher self, because for some people it's going to be different, right? Like depending on the different clairs that we have more active. For like Natalie's like yummy, like she can actually taste it.
I know, it's so cute. It's so cute.
I feel, yeah.
Right. For somebody else, it could be hearing, like when I'm sitting in silence, can you hear if you clairs? It's one of those where you feel like you have to hear in order for you to understand what your higher self is saying, or just truly feeling that connection that makes you spark inside, right? Like you just feel like, whoa, and like everything is like so beautiful, and it feels like you're on drugs. And you
Yeah,
have
and it can be like super subtle too. It can be like just a complete sense of like stillness, or a complete just sense of peace, or it can be like fireworks, or it can be the opposite. It's just, you have to really begin tuning in to
Right.
realize, what does this communication feel or look like for me?
Mm-hmm.
And Melvis, you said it great. You said, in other words, you said, allow the space for it. Like take a moment to allow for anything to happen, so to start a conversation with it, to tap into the opportunity. That is key. And it's simple and not simple. The way you said it was so perfect. But if we're never allowing for that opportunity to even arise, how are we even going to tap into our higher self? So being in that space of curiosity and allowing is
one thing that I, from some of the clients that I have worked with that felt that connection. Now that you mentioned, Melvis, how subtle it can be for some people, it's so subtle that sometimes you're sitting and you just feel like that lift. It's like that little lift, and it takes you, and then everything becomes just pure oneness. Like just one.
Yeah, just a
with
tiny shift.
right.
Yeah.
And for some people, because they never felt that within them, it's like, oh, I cannot breathe because I can feel everything for the first time ever. And for some people, it's like crying because it's such a sweetness to it that even the pain feels sweet. Like, whoa, this is possible. Like to feel you as me, one, and feel that, because when we tap to our higher self, there is no separation. So everything becomes oneness.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. There's so much when we're able to like tap into that essence of who we are, and all these things that are available to us to reconnect. It's amazing. But yeah, we have to really allow the space for that to happen, because I mean, there have been times in my life where I've needed like trumpets, or like, loudspeakers.
Hey, pay attention to this, dude. Yeah.
But the more you just, incorporate this into your daily practice, you begin really picking up those subtle messages, and these messages, like you said, Victoria, some of us hear it, but there's so many different ways. And I think that's somewhere we get stuck, because we expect that it's going to look the same for us, and it doesn't.
Yes. Yeah. It's essentially a wellspring of inner wisdom. Like think of like a candy store with wisdom. Like it's, I don't want to say the word yummy.
No, it's like it's
beautiful. No, like it's like, oh, candy store. I know this. I can learn about this. I can tap into this. It is a magical experience. Like I think that's the favorite thing I heard today. It's a truly magical experience, and why not make this life a little bit more magical? I'm down for that. I mean, but
good. So now I'm going to ask you, what is your opinion about, how people that are going through different traumas or healing or spiritual awakening, they're always looking for answers outside. Google, YouTube, social media, whatever it may be, right? So there is it's so much that sometimes we don't have that time to quiet down, because we're looking, we have to find, and sometimes people become obsessive. I have to know what that spirit wanted to tell me, and I have to go find the answers, and you're on a hunt, but you don't have time for that quiet time, right?
yeah.
So what will your advice be for those people that are always on the hunt for information?
This really this really hits home for me, because that has been me. I definitely love just learning and gathering information. And as I was doing that, just learning everything, because I'm so passionate about connecting to source and reclaiming who I am. I've just been, it's something that I think about every minute of the day. But yeah, I definitely, that was part of the journey for me, just gathering so much information. And I don't know that I could have done it any differently. It's like I went through this path of doing that until I realized, like, as you gather more information, you come to the point where you realize, like, okay, I know all this, but I'm not going to get there till I just go, like, till I stop looking for this data outside of me. And it's a shift that comes with the journey. Like, we're all on our own path.
Yeah. We are on our own paths, and I like that it resonated for you, Melvis. I think too, just reminding people to take a pause, because I do this with any type of activity, question, knowledge seeking, taking pauses, taking time in nature, being by yourself, or doing your favorite activity. Mine is dance. Anytime I dance, I am connected. Like, it's like a plug. It's like, okay, here we go. I'm plugged in. Like, take a pause from computers, electronics, and just be, like, reminding ourselves that, okay, well, it's cool. I'm going to research this. And I also get to go for a walk and just take a pause and see what comes up. Because in those little pauses, it's like when those little, like, messages, and like, oh yeah, and like, oh wait, I know this. Oh wait, I feel this. Wait, why is this song in my head all of a sudden? Those things can happen with those pauses. So I think for me, that's what I would recommend to people who are constantly seeking outside of themselves. And it's hard. It's so easy today. I mean, how much can we find in 3 seconds on here? I get it. It's too easy. So we have to consciously want to take a pause.
Right.
Yeah, I love that you said that. It has to be a conscious decision, for you to say, I'm going to find out what information is within.
Right. I mean, I think I have the other side of that, Melvis. Like, even though I do love learning and looking up things, I will only do that after I receive the information from my spirit. So it's on the other side of that. But I think for me, I see information, and information is no healing. To me, information is information outside of me, unless it really comes into my space where I allow that information to mean something important to me. Then it's just extra garbage that I'm putting here because I cannot deal with that. I work differently. Like, if I don't feel that, if I don't receive that, then I don't go looking for it, because then I feel like it's just going to, like a virus, like it's going to, like, damage something, because I'm like, well, I'm not getting this the pure way. So to me, some things take longer, because if I don't receive it first, then I don't feel like I am called to that yet. I don't know if that makes sense, but
it does. Oh, it definitely does. I think it's really beautiful to hear both sides of this, because I realized I've had both, right? Like, let me figure out how to mindfully eat. And then I would, like, research and try different things. But then sometimes in a dream, I'll have, like, someone say something, a full sentence, and then quietly the next day, I'm like, oh wait, I get to look into Reiki. Like, there's something with my left hand. And so I've had both experiences, which is really beautiful. And options, which we love to share on this podcast, right? There are so many ways of delving into yourself, outside of yourself, but ultimately coming back into connecting to your higher self. Like, it's important in the sense of wanting to be that feeling of oneness. We are all one. We're all energy. We're all love. We're all God, whatever word you want to use. But when you tap into this feeling, you'll know what we're saying. It's hard to communicate this without having felt it. I think I didn't really believe in this when I was younger. I was very ego driven, and it was like, well, I need to do this, and I need to do this, and I need to do this, and me. But until I kind of had my first glimpses with my higher self, I didn't think that way. I thought I was an island. In fact, I went to a therapist for years and he told me that I was always on an island. Now it makes sense. But I was like, what do you mean? I'm on the island of Manhattan, sure. But and now it makes sense what he was saying. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, I love this. There's so much more to go into with this, so that'll be exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not sure what other questions to ask you because I know we have part 2 coming up. Anything else that you want to share in regards to your journey to tapping in and integrating your higher self?
Yeah, I really. Yeah, I was gonna say, what was, you guys remember the first times that you have started tapping in? I would love like a little quick antidote. Like I want to know how it was for you guys.
Go ahead, Abelbis.
I don't know that I can tell you the first time. I know something that something that helped me initially when I hadn't yet, I guess, built that vibratory connection, was like automatic writing, just writing down. It actually it would blow my mind because I would just write. I would ask a question, I would write what would come to mind, and it felt like it was nonsense when I was writing. Like it didn't. I was just writing random words. But afterwards, when you really pause and read what came, when I did, what came up for me, it provided so much clarity. So that was something that I found helpful for myself.
Interesting. I think I had that connection, and for a long time I was very afraid of that connection because of so much power that it came with, that I didn't want it. So I was afraid of myself for a long time. And then when I wanted it, I couldn't get it because I was desperate, and desperation is never a good friend with your higher self, right? So, but I think also there are pieces of our soul that are so fragmented that it needs the conscious us, the one that is in this reality, to say, hey, we're going to do this together. And when I found that version of myself, I saw it as a partnership. I am giving you access to this reality, right? And we are one. But it's not a relationship where either one has more than the other, if that makes any sense. Like,
Awesome.
I see it as a partnership for the potential of healing together through many different realities, especially this life, right? Because what does it matter if we heal 100 different lives if we're not happy here now? So that partnership has been in every day, like, hey, how you doing? How are we doing today? Like checking in daily, right? And going through the process of respecting each other. Because when there were times when I was hearing things and seeing things, and I'm like, this is too much. So let's take a step back here. This is how I want this thing to be in order for me to be able to handle this. So developing that relationship with myself has been an interesting journey.
I love
it continues.
Yeah, I love it too. Reciprocal, right? Like both parts. Like they both give and take and learn.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, ladies. This has been beautiful to share.
Absolutely. Thank you for saving space.
I will see you next
I will
week.
see you next week. Yeah.
Yeah, see you all next week. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Ciao.